This is the 17th season of Bass Talk Live with your hosts, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pingrack. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Bass Cat Boats, APCO, Duck and Fishing, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Yamagatsu, The Bass Tank, and Denali Rods. BTL coming at you. Good Sunday evening, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL, the post-game version, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. My man that usually sits to my right is now to the right of you on the screen, talking about Matthew Pingrack. Matt, how you doing, man? And your mic is muted.
Dude, you're the one who told me to mute the mic, and then I.
That's because you had all kinds of background stuff going on before we went into the show. That's why I asked you to mute it. Anyway, how you doing, man?
You know what, dude? The only person who had a good day today at the fishing world was Caleb, because he absolutely he didn't give anyone else a chance, man.
Well, that's not true. I mean,
everyone
there was a lot of
was fishing for second.
Well, that's true, but there were guys out there that still got great points, trying to make the classic. Guys out there that made a little money on the final day, and guys out there who are really, really putting people in a position to where they got to catch them these last two events if they do want to make the Bassmaster Classic or they want to win Angler of the Year. And we'll get into that later, because I'm telling you, dude, the 4-day clinic that was put on at Lake Guntersville over the past 4 days, very, very impressive by Caleb. Just unbelievable.
It was, and he won with 85-14. He was the only angler to even crack the 70-pound mark. Went 27-10, 15-10, 23-9, and 19-1. Yeah. And a very interesting top 10. You have your defending champion in Wes Logan, who ends up in second in this, coming right off of a victory there on Neely Henry, staying in his home state. Then you have, can we say, generational power fishing talents, Mark? Does that phrase fit both Greg Hackney and Jason Christie?
It does. It does.
And then you have a big bait specialist in Chris Zaldane and Tyler Aved, who's proven to be ridiculously consistent on this thing. A top 10 for Shane Lineberger. Folks, I want you to go look up Luke Palmer's stats since joining the Elite Series. He's from Southern Oklahoma. He's he's a country guy. He doesn't get the recognition he deserves. And I think I said it before. He doesn't suck. He's had one bad tournament in like 3 years or 2 years on the Elite Series. And then Chris Johnson and Brandon Cobb, both Elite Series champions in the top 10. But, dude, Caleb, Kuphall just destroyed everyone.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. And I don't know how many people across the country are really into what he did over the past 4 days. But it was a clinic from the perspective that if you really wanted to learn how to fish grass and punch grass and flip grass and do anything that you want to, all right, based upon what Caleb did, it was amazing to watch. I don't like fishing that way. I'll be the first one to admit. I don't. All right, but I've done it. I like watching it. And that thump that you get from that 1 ounce or 3/4 ounce sinker and hook and bait when one just latches onto it after it's went through that entire mess of grass is something that you just have to experience to understand how cool it is.
It is. And remember on BTO last week, we had an entire segment, a discussion on whether it's tougher for southern anglers to master the north or northern anglers to master southern fisheries. And I was talking about how a lot of northern fisheries are translatable vegetation-wise, specifically to Florida and lakes down south.
Yeah.
And Caleb is from Wisconsin. The Mississippi River there has a lot of vegetation in it. Remember Matt Herron talked about how the vegetation was way further along than expected on Guntersville due to the clarity of the water.
Yeah.
And he targeted vegetation. So it would be interesting to see if growing up the dude sounds like a total fish head. Then all he does is fish, work at the tackle store and stuff. If his northern grass fishing really translated to Guntersville.
Yeah, it did a great job. 27, 15, 23, and 19 on the final day. Just very, very, very impressive. And a lot of people may not realize the way that he earned a spot on the Bassmaster Elite Series. Dude, he was a stick in the opens that he fished to qualify for the Elite Series.
Actually won an open, I believe, on Smith Lake. I don't have it pulled up right now, but that makes him one of the guys with an open victory and an Elite Series victory. And it's something he couldn't say until today, and then Polinick couldn't say that until last week when he won, or 2 weeks ago when he won in Virginia. But, I mean, dude, to have an open and an Elite Series trophy and be under 40,
it's pretty cool. By the way, a fan sent in, you remember we were talking about, because we both picked Brandon Polinick for this event, has an angler won an open event and then backed it up with a win on the Elite Series. And yes, one has done that. You know who it is? According to this fan, and I looked it up.
Christie?
No.
Who was it?
Wesley Strader.
Oh. He won on Kentucky Lake. I know that.
Yeah.
The Elite Series.
Yeah, so many thanks to the fans out there.
He finished in 22nd.
He did. All right, man. Here's what we're going to do. It is time to bring in our special guest here on the BTL postgame show, the man we've been talking about for the last 10 minutes. He's got $100,000 in his pocket and a nice blue trophy, and I'm sure things are good. So let's bring him in now. Caleb, you there, man?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, great stuff. Just an unbelievable 4 days, and it was really, really, really fun to watch, man.
Yeah, man, just an outstanding week. It's kind of a surprise to me, depending on the practice that I had, but I just, rolled with it. I didn't know what I had. It was great. 2 areas held up for 4 days. You can't ask for more than that.
Yeah. All right, Matt, I'm going to ask a couple questions, then I'll send it to you. First, you mentioned your practice, Caleb. How was it, and how did you really get dialed in on these 2 areas?
Yeah, my practice went really slow. I think I caught a total of probably like maybe 15 or so keepers. On the second day, I only caught 3. But I did find a couple areas that I thought had potential. I shook off a few fish in those spots. And the areas that I did really good in, that I exploited throughout the tournament, the first one, the milfoil spot, I caught probably, 2 fish in there, I think, in practice, a couple shorts, and, just found one little sweet spot, shook off a couple fish in there, and it was enough. It was right next to the ramp, and I thought, hey, I'm just going to start in here and, just see what happens, maybe get a couple, keepers to kind of start my day off and go from there. But, I ended up pulling in there the first morning and caught a 2.5 pounder on my second cast, and then like 10 minutes later, I made a pitch in there, caught a 6.2, and then my very next flip caught a 5.11. So, that got my morning started off right, and it was on my way to 27 pounds that first day. So, it was pretty exciting.
Very nice. All right, Matt, I'm going to send it your way, and then I'm going to queue up some video while you're asking a couple of questions there, Matt.
So it wasn't until those back-to-back giants that you realized you had something special going on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was, just a milfoil deal. Generally in those areas, the bigger ones tend to hold in one little area, and they generally aren't very big. The areas aren't very big. It was probably about maybe 100-foot circle, I'll bet you, that I was fishing, for 4 days. And if you get outside of that circle, you'd catch a lot of small fish, a lot of non-keepers and 2-pounders. But you get inside that circle, and they're all like 3s or bigger, especially on that first day. So, Yeah, I mean, it's just a milfoil deal. If you know anything about flipping grass like that, you know
No, I
what I'm
don't.
talking
Explain
about.
it.
So.
What was special about that magic circle? What was it? I don't. I have
Well,
no idea.
there's something when you get fish grouped up like that, there's something special that holds them. I'm not exactly sure what it was that was down there. I'd probably have to go diving in order to find out, but it was probably a hard spot, maybe a small rock pile. Just never know. Maybe just like a little break in the weeds. I mean, it was just one of the magic holes you find. It's the milfoil flat that I was fishing was probably several hundred yards long. So it was there was a lot to go through, to find literally one little spot that held all the bigger fish.
So you get the 27 pounds and go back to the first day. Did you know that you would have a substantial lead like that? Or were you like, man, everyone was sandbagging? Because, I mean, we talked to a bunch of people. A lot of guys said there's fish doing all sorts of stuff. The lake's kind of off. And then, like, you start out the morning and just drill them. Like, did you have any concept of how much that 27 pounds would carry you? Or did you think, oh, this thing's going to take 100 to win?
Well, it's Gunnersville, but it was fishing really tough. The guys that I talked to, the dock talk that I heard was, 16, 17 pounds a day would probably, do really well for you. And then, to make the top 10, you'd be looking at probably, 18 a day, something like that. So, the projections weren't very high, I don't think, going into that tournament. Just the time of year, we kind of hit it at a weird time. We had a really kind of a late spring, and it backed all these fish up. They're spawning late. I know a couple of guys even caught them off beds. So, but I kind of expected more guys to be offshore ledge fishing, but I idled around for probably a half a day in practice and looked offshore, but I really couldn't find much. I'm not the best at doing that either, but the fish just haven't moved out as much as we had thought, and it pushed a lot of the guys up shallow to catch their fish. So I think that's why most of the weights are down. If it was a couple weeks from now, you'd see a lot of those big schools offshore, and I think the weights would go up quite a bit. So
all right, Caleb, a lot of people on the instant feedback, they want to know if you can talk a little bit about the craw that you were using.
Yeah, I mean, the main bait, I think I caught every single fish that I caught this week on a Zoom Z-Hog. I was swapping two different colors. I was using a California 420 pretty much exclusively, especially the first 2 days. And then the second two, I was more going towards just the standard green pumpkin. So the bait itself is just a creature style bait. I guess you call it more like a beaver style. It's got a kind of a slender body with two forked tails and then a couple of appendages coming off the side. But I think it's a 4 1/4 inch version. So, but I've won a lot of money up north on that bait. That's been a really good flipping bait for me. So, I know you could catch them on a bunch of, I probably caught them on just about any of that profile,
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
when it's a reaction bite like that, they don't care quite as much, but that's been a good one for me.
All right, one more question, and then I'll send it to you, Matt. Caleb, why do you think, and this question is actually from Sean on the instant feedback, why do you think that area replenished every single day, or was there just that many fish in those two areas? Yeah,
my secondary spot, I kind of I talked to Wes Logan, and he knows a lot more about this lake than I do. He's from Alabama, so he knows pretty much about every hole out there. But he was saying that in practice, I never went up real shallow in there. Like, it was just a huge mat, basically. And he went up in there, in some of the holes, and he found a bunch of brim beds in there. And I think that what was happening, we had a lot of the bluegills were on beds, in practice, and I think they pretty much finished and they started moving out, and that brought the bass kind of with them to the isolated patches that I ended up catching fish off of. So I think those fish were kind of pulling off the bank towards me every single day, and that's kind of why it just kept replenishing. There's so much food in that area, though, for them too. I saw gizzard shad running all over the place. There was just a load of bluegills in there. Every day when I was out there, you could just hear, the pecking of them, eating bugs and stuff off the weeds. And, it was just a really vibrant area, a lot of life.
All right, Matt. Matt, you're muted.
I didn't do it this time.
Yeah, you did.
I did? I didn't mean
Yep.
to do it this time. I'm going to get yelled at after the show, Caleb. 'Cause I have to. You have an open win. You have an Elite Series win now. I was actually texting with Dave Mercer about this. You're super consistent. I mean, you have top 12s, you have top 10s, you look at what you've done in the past. But I'm going to be completely honest here. You beat Greg Hackney, Jason Christie, and Wes Logan, who's from there, and throw Chris Zaldane in because we all know he was throwing by 18 pounds on Gunnersville in May. I mean, that is a thorough butt kicking. How were you able to separate yourself? And before you came on, I said, dude, you take Jason Christie and Greg Hackney on a lake like that they're like generational power fishing talents, and you out power fished them. They might not catch you if they have another day on Gunnersville.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard question to answer. I really don't know. I mean, I mentioned it on stage. I think it was just the areas that I found were just that good. I didn't have a whole lot of pressure on the area that I ended up winning off of. The punching area. Wes Logan did come in there late on the third day, and he was in there a little bit today as well. But outside of that, I didn't have much traffic on that particular spot. There was some locals in there Saturday, especially. There was I don't know, must have been a kayak tournament or something. There was 5 kayaks going in there. But yeah, and I mean, today was just beautiful. There was just a very few boats up there, and it really allowed me to settle down and just pick the area apart and catch those fish. So the first area, I did have a lot of pressure in there, especially the first 2 days. Corey Johnson was right in there with me. Matt Herron came in the second day. But I was really lucky to have the boat numbers that I did. I had a very late one on the first day, and evidently nobody really knew about that area, or at least what it could produce, until later. So I was the first one to that spot on the first day. And then on the second day, I was boat number 2. So of course I'm going to get there first. And I'm able to just, kind of hunker down on the sweet spot. And like I said, the sweet spot was extremely small, and, they were kind of left to, pick up the scraps on the outside. So, very lucky to have that, the boat numbers drop the way they did.
Did you do the same thing all at practice? Did you say, I'm going to go to Gunnersville, and when you saw the grass, say, I'm going to catch him flipping and punching this stuff? Or did you try a bunch of different stuff?
Well, like I said, I spent about a half a day idling around, looking at stuff, ledges and stuff, looking for schooling fish and that. I didn't really look for a shad spawn. A lot of guys did, and a lot of guys caught them good, in the morning doing that too, that I heard. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, I love shallow water. I love flipping heavy stuff like that. It was I noticed I did a lot of more like mid-depth cranking and jackhammer type stuff. I threw a jackhammer probably half a practice. And I get some bites, but they were generally small. I didn't really pick up on a real big bite doing that. I could catch some keepers that way, but that was about it. And the flipping bite produced the bigger fish. Even though I didn't get very many bites, they were 3 pounds and up. So I thought, I'm just going to do this all day and see if it works. So,
all right, here's a question I'm going to throw up on the screen because it's a pretty good one. Jared wants to know, what was the water depth of the mats that you were fishing?
It was about 3 foot, which is plenty for flipping mats like that. I would say anywhere from 2 to 3 in that matted area. I couldn't see the bottom. It was, it's 2 to 3 foot, but there's there was hydrilla there. There was milfoil there underneath the mats that made that area even better. There's pads. There was tons of eelgrass blowing into the area. So, there's a lot of mixture of good stuff in there.
All right, Matt went away. Hopefully he'll be back. A lot of people on the instant feedback also want to know, what has been your experience on Guntersville, and what was it like when you got there and you saw what the lake looked like? Did that change kind of the perceived notion that you had when you got there and finally got on the water and saw the condition that the lake was in?
I kind of expected that condition. I have some history here. I've probably fished 12 to 15 tournaments on this lake. Just coming down from Wisconsin, I fished FLW tour events down here as a co-angler. I fished, a couple probably like Costas and that. Angler's Choice Championship comes down here every March, and I used to fish that every single year. So, but that was, much earlier time of the year. But about, 5-6 years ago, we got just a massive influx of the eelgrass out here, and it's just completely changed the lake. But I got a little bit of a taste of that last year at the Classic, so I kind of knew what to expect as far as the eelgrass and just kind of dealing with it. And really what you want to find is the milfoil and hydrilla out here. I think it holds a lot more fish.
All right, Kenny has a question from the instant feedback. Once you found the flippin' bite, how much water did you find that would produce, and how much did you eliminate once you found that pattern?
Oh, I eliminated a ton. I had caught my starting spot. I had caught a few fish out of, and I wanted to duplicate that. I wanted to go around, look for, 6 foot of water with 4 to 6 foot of water with good, coon tail or hydrilla. And I just couldn't find it. I found one really good looking stretch in Browns Creek, and I never had a bite out of it. It's probably something I should have gone back to later in practice just to see if it was a timing deal or something. But it looks so good, but just didn't produce. So I was very limited to the good areas that I found.
All right, one more question, and then I'll send it to Matt. A number of people want to know the weight size. It was 3/4 and an ounce, I believe is what they said, what you said. And then what was the setup that you were using, along with what knot that you were using?
Okay, so the flippin' setup, or the hydrilla setup, milfoil setup, 6 foot of water that I was fishing. I was using a 20-pound Seaguar Red Label. It was a 3/4 ounce that I was throwing in there, and then when I switched over to the jig, I was throwing a Dirty Jigs, no jack punching jig, and that was a 1 ounce. So I upped it a little bit, had a little bit slower fall even with the heavier weight. But the heavy duty flipping setup was a 50-pound line, Power Pro, ounce weight, and I almost went up to 1.25 ounces in there because the mats were really, they were pretty gnarly, pretty thick. So as far as hooks I was using, I was using a 4-rod BMC, just a standard heavy wire flipping hook. But rods and reels, I was using both. I had 3 primary setups that I was using: a 7.4 heavy St. Croix Abbott X, and then the reels were. I think on one I had a loose magnesium. I think 2 I had loose magnesium, and then third one I had a PC Fun Alloy M, I believe.
All right, and then the knot.
The knot was on the braid. I'd go with a Palomar. And with the fluorocarbon, just a standard, I guess they call it like a trilene knot or something like that. So just very basic, fisherman's knot.
All right, Matt.
I mean, dude, you fish 4 open.
Actually, you know what? Actually, with the flipping setups, I was using a Snell knot. I was not usually with braid. I tie every braid knot with a Palomar, but in this case, with the flipping setup and the straight shank flipping hooks, I was using a Snell knot. So sorry about that.
All right, good stuff. Matt?
I was going to say, man, you fished 4 opens to make the Elite Series. 3 years ago, you seem like a dude who is just obsessed with this game that wanted to try to get to the level. I don't know you personally. I've read your profile. I've talked to a couple guys, and they're like, man, you eat, sleep, breathe fishing. That's kind of your jam, always has been. You got a blue trophy. You got to lift it over your head, and you knew for most of the day that you were going to lift that blue trophy over your head. What did it feel like? Is it worth all the sacrifices and all that? Just for those who will never experience, just kind of talk us through what it's like achieving that dream.
It's worth every hour that I ever spent on the lake for sure, doing something like that. But I've got a lot of history. I mean, I fished over 100 events with FLW before coming over to Bass. And I qualified for the FLW tour, a couple times, never was able to do it for, financial reasons. And, the Bass platform, fishing the Opens in 2019. But winning that tournament on Smith Lake, gave me the finances basically to do the elites, if I had qualified, which I did. So, but as far as, it's just awesome. What an awesome feeling to see that blue trophy on the mantle. That's going to be pretty sweet. And I'll tell you, I'm going to be hard after another one. So.
Yeah. That's
how
great
excited
stuff.
are you too? You're looking at the points race or headed up north. Champlain and Thousand Islands are the only two that are left. And dude, you vaulted all the way up into inside the classic cut with this one with about a 15, 20 point cushion. And you talked about what the experience you had in the past classic there, but man, that's got to be big as well.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed with my points this year, obviously, but I've had some real, tough tournaments that really could have gone my way and they just didn't. But that's, you can say that about any bad tournament you might have. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm like 32nd now or something like that in the points. So hopefully on those, I'm really looking forward to Champlain. That was an awesome lake. I've been there a couple times, and what a fish factory. That place just got them. Waddington too, that kind of scares me a little bit because it's more, electronics orientated, and I'm not too good at that. I got the live scope and everything, but it's not really the way I like to fish. Actually, last year in Waddington, or just down from there because they changed the venue area, but I started on largemouth every day, so I'll probably look for them some too. So we'll see how it goes.
Nice. All right. This question from Matt, not Pat Pangrak, but one of the fans. Ask Caleb why he still runs a two-stroke. A number of people want to know the answer to that. Caleb?
Yeah, I run the only two-stroke on the Elite Series, I believe. It's not exactly by choice. Qualifying for the Elite Series and everything, it costs a lot of money, and I didn't have finances to get a boat, and I didn't have a boat deal as of yet. So hopefully moving forward, especially last year, next year, I got some stuff lined up. So yeah. I should be running. I'm thinking of Triton next year, but we'll see how that goes.
So this was like big career wise for you. Not only the win, not only the W on the resume, but like, dude, I'm going to be able to come out here and get after it for a while longer.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in a lot more ways than one. I mean, the trophy's great. I'll have that forever. But the money, at this level, we spend a lot of money, and the sponsorships aren't always there. Hoping to get more sponsors, hopefully moving forward. But also, just the points. They're going to be kicking out, I think, twice as many anglers as they normally would at the end of this season. So it's going to be, tight on a lot of those guys that are kind of, down at the bottom of the points list. So, that was one major goal this year. I kind of finished in the middle of the pack last year. So, just to be able to get enough points just to continue to fish the elites.
My last thing then, Mark, I mean, I don't know what your game plan is for the rest of the evening. I know you said you got a hotel room, which you sometimes usually sleep, but there is a place called Wenzel's Oyster House in downtown Guntersville. I would highly suggest taking the blue trophy, just setting that sucker right up on the bar, ordering a couple pitchers. You are in one of the bass capitals of the world, and just having a great night.
There you go. I'll do it. I haven't eaten yet. Actually, I haven't eaten anything all day. So
Winsel's
Wow.
Oyster
looking
House.
forward to that. Winsel's
You can get
Oyster
this
House.
trio platter, and it's got like three of the different. It's got like oysters, Rockefeller. It's got like something. It's like anyway. There's three different types. Order a couple plates of those. Set the trophy right there.
I'm there.
You're
there.
golden.
We're going right now.
It's a great
Me and the
place.
trophy.
Yeah,
great
you can
place.
sit there and look and see the bridge where Randy Howell won the Bassmaster Classic while you.
Yep. What a great lake. This lake has a lot of history.
It does. It does. All right, a couple more questions, and then we'll let you go. Here's an interesting question from the bait man. Wants to know, this is a weird question, but he noticed when Caleb was flipping grass that he kept his rod almost parallel to the water, a different angle style than many other guys. What's the reason for that?
I've noticed that, and pretty much just fishing, or since fishing the elites, because you get to see yourself on camera and actually see yourself fish. But
yeah,
I keep a much like a lower profile with my my rod and reel. I don't know why. It's just something that I've learned over the years. People kind of mention that my hook set looks funny too, but I don't know. It's I can't change now, so it's the way it is. So
yeah, it looks $100,000 funny to all those people out there. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
All right, I
didn't miss many fish either this week.
No,
so.
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you about your execution this week. What was it like?
It was great. I missed quite a few fish. I did. You probably saw me swinging on a lot of fish that weren't there. They missed the bait, or they just weren't there when I set the hook. But as far as losing fish, I was extremely good, except for about 5 minutes this morning. I lost 2 in a row for some odd reason. One was about a 3-pounder, and the other one was I don't know how big. I think it was like probably 2.5 or something like that. But and for that style of fishing too, like punching mats and stuff to get all those big fish out of that junk, just amazing to have it all. I never lost a fish. I never lost any, fish coming towards the boat. Never got them, pinned where I had to go after them. It was just a blessing to have those fish come out and me to be able to grab them. So
yeah, that's awesome, man. How much do you think growing up and fishing in Wisconsin has helped you on the Elite Series, especially this event?
Well, I mean, just going forward, fishing the Elite Series, I'm a shallow water guy. I love fishing shallow. That's kind of what I gravitate toward at almost every venue that we go to. But I'll tell you, fishing with these guys, it shows a lot of holes in your game. The deep water game, I'm definitely going to have to work on, electronics game, stuff like that. That's kind of the future, with what's going on with that. So, I feel like I have a lot of holes to fill yet. I got to be a more rounded angler moving forward. So.
All right. That's great stuff, man. Great win. I hope you got a good CPA, because you're going to need it, because you're going to win a lot more money in the future.
I sure hope so.
That's good stuff. All right, Matt, anything else for Caleb?
No, dude, congratulations. That's not only a win, an impressive win. I mean, dude, that was a beating, and you do not see that very often on the Elite Series. I mean, you won by almost 18 pounds. 18 pounds.
That's a lot of weight.
Against like guys who know Gunnersville and are good on Gunnersville. So, congratulations, man.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
Great job.
Yeah, it was quite the week.
Great job. Last question. All right. Who has been the coolest either phone call or text that you've gotten so far after your win? I know it's
I
very,
probably
very
looked
short
at
time.
any, to be honest with you.
Really?
Probably Zona. I mean, he just texted me, and he was apologizing because he was trying to get me a girlfriend or something like that, and it didn't work out. But
I'm telling you, Wenzel's, take the trophy down there, double oysters, you'll be good to go.
I'll be good to go. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yep, tonight it's gonna be a good night.
All right, Caleb, have fun, man. Thanks for taking time out to come on the post-game show with Matt, myself, and looking forward to the Northern Swing and see what you can do up there. And hopefully this will not be the last time that you're on BTL, man. We want to get you back on.
Sounds good. Anytime, guys.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, you too.
All right, see you. There you have it. The winner at Lake Gunnersville, Wow. Yeah. How much did you watch, Matt? Did you watch a little bit of it?
Yeah, I watched a decent amount of it. I watched a lot of the highlights. I was not able to watch on the weekend, but Thursday, Friday, I watched quite a bit, and then all just the highlights from this weekend. But I mean, Mercer said the dude's a cool customer. He's really mellow, really chill all the time. And
he was
you
awesome.
could tell by the way those fish were in the mats and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you look at his stats. Like I said, there's a number of these guys that are kind of flying under the radar, and then you look at their stats, and you're just like, oh wow, these guys are catching them.
Yeah. Good dude, great win, and wish him the best for the remainder of the Elite
18
Series.
pounds, though. He didn't seem as impressed with that as I did. Am I like making too much of that, or
we're gonna find out. You know how we're gonna find out? We're gonna bring in our next guest here. He knows the numbers. He is the man. Ken Duke, how are you?
Hey guys, I'm doing great. I'm in my BTL hat. It doesn't
Look at that.
Look at that.
That is impressive.
We got our matching hat. Ken Duke, first things first, since you are the knowledge, is it true, what percentage of the fact it is true that chicks dig the flipping stick?
Oh, you've got to dig the flipping stick, man. I'm sure.
Dude, what is your deal? Hang on a minute.
Question.
You're all about the women tonight, Matt. What is your deal? You're trying to hook up Caleb. You're talking women.
I just wanted to go have some oysters at Wenzel's.
Yeah, it's a good place. I've done the Gunnersville Wenzel's thing. Good place. Great call there, Matt. Wonderful advice. Every elite winner should contact you immediately for any sort of post-game opportunities. You're the man.
There you have it. All right. I am guessing, and I haven't looked at my phone. I haven't looked at stats. I haven't looked at anything, Ken. And I know you have the answer for this. I am guessing that Caleb was the 18th Elite Series angler to no. He is not. What I'm asking you is how many anglers have won twice on the Bassmaster Elite Series, and I'm saying 18. Is that right or wrong?
Wow, you're going to send me to my database and force me to look, but I don't know right offhand. I'll have to check that. I will get you that information momentarily. But what I can tell you, Mark, is that he is the 25th guy to go wire to wire in the Elite Series.
Okay. All right.
And if you had checked your email, you would have known that.
Well, I didn't have time.
If you'd text your text, you would have known that. Matt,
okay,
you too.
So
I've got it right here. It's
guys.
on my phone right here. I got it.
Yeah,
there you go.
I haven't been looking at my phone. I'm sorry.
And out of how many? And is that the Elite Series from 2006 on, or is that going back and including like top 150s and all that?
That's just the Elite Series. Now,
okay.
That's actually one of the things that drives me crazy, Matt, is because people seem to think the Elite Series is something magical and that there wasn't this highest level of competition before that. And there was. And the top 150s or the Tour or even the Invitationals back in the day were just as lofty as the Elite Series is today. In fact, you could argue that it was tougher to win a tournament, one of those tournaments back then, because you had a lot of local guys fishing them just kind of one and done, cherry picking. And you also had much larger fields than the Elite Series has, which is averaged about 100 guys.
15 years, though, is a lot of data.
It's a ton of data. This is, we're talking about 136 events or something like that. It's a chunk. And Mark, we talked about the 25 times that guys have gone wire to wire.
Yeah.
Only 2 guys have done wire to wire more than one time. And the easy guess is
Kevin Van Dam.
Kevin Van Dam, because he won 10 of those suckers. But the other guy to do it is Brandon Palnick. He's done it twice.
Wow. Let me ask you this, Ken. How difficult do you think it is to go wire to wire?
Well, statistically, you could tell them exactly how difficult it is, right?
I think it's not that tough, ironically, because the guy who gets off to a big start, he's in the catbird seat, as it were, to do well in the tournament and to whack them. So it's not nearly as tough as all that. And since 25 guys have done it, in 130 some tournaments, that's not bad. I mean, it's not as difficult to do as you might think. Now, that's not to say it's easy, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's not. But the guy who was in first place after day one is in great shape. And historically, in the 139, actually, 140 Elite Series tournaments now, the ultimate winner averages being in ninth place. After day two, he averages being in fourth place. And after day three, he averages being in second place. So it is quite unusual for a tournament winner to be worse than 20th after day one. Quite unusual.
How many guys have not made the cut after leading day one?
Just a couple. It is extremely rare. If you want their names, if you want to embarrass them.
No, I can think of one. I mean, I can only think of one right now, but I wasn't asking for names. I was just asking just to put it in context.
Yeah, that's kind of a spin, Ken, because typically I'm the one asking the negative performance questions.
Well,
this time
negative.
It was Matt.
Like I said, it's put it into context here. What I want you to put into context is the margin of victory.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was today. We saw the second largest margin of victory in Elite history.
Wow.
The largest margin of victory in Elite history was just last year when Patrick Walters won by 29 pounds, 10 ounces. So as massive as Caleb's win was today, with almost an 18-pound margin of victory, Walters beat that by 11 pounds.
Yeah.
So, and that's like, if you took Walters and divided his margin of victory in half, you'd have 2 of the top 10 margins of victory in Elite Series history. So Walters destroyed him, as did Caleb today. But what Walters did last year was unworldly.
Wow. Well, the whole back-to-back question that came up, I asked that for 2 reasons. One, because of the northern swing and Caleb having or being from the north and having some experience, we could see the 26th, and it kind of sets up pretty decent for us to move forward to the 26th. And then the other thing is what we talked about earlier about the angler that would win an Open and then win a Bassmaster Elite Series event, the very next event. I had a fan send me an email and said that Wesley Strader did it. Both Matt and I picked Brandon Polinick for this event after he won the Open event on the James River. Any idea how many times that's been done, Ken?
Not off the top of my head, Mark. I'm sorry. I'm letting you down, brother.
I'm stumping you. I don't
mean to.
If
you knew that one, I'd have just walked off the show, Mark.
So, hey, it was cool that a fan reached out to me and did tell me, these fans, man, they're into the numbers thing, Ken. They like the numbers. They love the stats. And,
me too.
Nobody does the stats better than you, dude.
Well, you're very kind to say that. And I've noticed that I get a lot smarter when I'm wearing my BTL cap. So that helps me.
Hey, one more question. We do have a little bit of a gap now before they go up north, Mr. Duke. Yes. And if you look at the top 10, Fighter, Christie, Walters, Chris Johnson, Polinick, Hackney, Welcher, Logan, Corey Johnson, and Brandon Cobb. Oh, you couldn't pick 2 better fisheries to close this thing out on with the number of guys.
Whoa.
I'm just saying, look at the guys up north. Look at the guys who catch them. If Fighter, but here's my question: 50-point lead, 2 events left. How catchable is Fighter like that? Like, what do you consider a substantial lead at what point in the season?
Fighter's got a substantial lead. Is he uncatchable? Of course he's not uncatchable. But I would say that at the outside, the lowest seed right now that's going to have any meaningful chance of catching him, in my opinion, would be Hackney in 6th place. I would not – the odds of anybody below that catching him, I'd say, are remote.
And everybody needs help from him.
Yeah, and everybody needs help. Exactly, Matt. Everybody needs Fighter to drop out, to forget the way back to the ramp,
on Champlain and Thousand Islands.
Exactly. Something's got to go really
Champlain
wrong.
and Thousand Islands.
Things can happen. But what I hate from announcers is when they say, "Oh, it's anybody's race. It's anybody." No, it's not. It's not anybody's race. There are a handful of guys who have a reasonable shot at this thing. Anybody else would require a multi-car pileup on the way to the venue. Okay, so don't expect anybody worse than about sixth to make a run at this thing, because as you say, not only do they need help from Fighter, but all the guys in between whoever and Fighter also are going to have to stumble, even for Hackney to make a run at it. And Hackney was my pick to win AOY going into the season.
Huh.
So
it would probably be very difficult. I mean, you tell me, Ken, to go back and see who had the largest lead ever with 2 events remaining. Would that be easy to do, or yes or no?
That would be impossible to do, Mark, because Bass has rarely kept points the same way 2 years in a row.
Okay.
Insane. They've done it so many different ways. Every way has its issues, its flaws, its challenges. But since they don't ever do it twice hardly the same way, there's no way to tell you that.
But it's been done recently the same way, though, has it not?
Yeah, it has. It has. But when you look through the entire course of Elite history, it's been done multiple different ways.
Yeah. I'm just thinking almost, a 48 or 50-point lead, whatever it is, with 2 events remaining, and one of the venues, he's pretty much dialed in every time he's been on that body of the water. And then the SLR is like, if you don't have 20 pounds, you're not going to do anything. And 20 pounds is pretty easy according to the experts.
I'm going to say something that a lot of people won't like hearing, but too bad. I hate ending the season with smallmouth tournaments. Just hate it.
Why is it?
Well, it's because it's so hard to distinguish yourself in one of these tournaments where everybody catches 5.
Yeah.
Everybody is going to catch 5 every day of the last 2 tournaments. Everybody is going to catch 5. And if somebody doesn't have 5, it's because they forgot how to tie a Palomar knot under their tube or something. That's what it takes to not catch 5.
So here, I'm going to rebut that. I'll ask you this then, Ken. Where should they have it at? The Ohio River?
Well, it's not so much that I hate smallmouth tournaments.
Yeah.
Although I don't like them at the end of the season, because it's really hard to shake things up at the end of the season and for somebody to make a run. But if you want volatility in the standings, you need 2 things.
Yeah.
You need the opportunity for big fish, and you need sketchy fishing.
Hey, I got a place in Kansas, Ken.
You got a place?
Milford. It should always be decided on Milford. It'd be so up in the air, it'd be unbelievable.
Obviously Matt's got it figured out for Milford. But there are places like that. Fork can be like that, depending on the time of year and so forth. The Classic down in Texas a few years ago when it was out of Houston, that's a great venue for that, where you're going to have some 8s and 9s, but a lot of guys are going to come to the scales with 2 or 3 fish.
Yeah.
That's going to make it tough. Almost any of the Florida waters could make it really challenging, because you'll have some 10s, but you'll also have guys who only come to the scales with 2 or 3 fish. That puts everything up in the air. The other thing about smallmouth derbies on places like St. Clair or the St. Lawrence River or Erie that drives me crazy is the guy who wins is catching 4 1/4 pound fish. The guy in 60th place is catching 4 pound fish. That's how tight it gets to be. And it's frustrating to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Matt, you had a question?
Last question, and I hope I don't look like an idiot here, that someone is just completely escaping my mind. But is there – okay, you have a lot of legendary anglers from up there. You've got, a lot of Michigan guys. You got Fire that's leading it, obviously Van Dam's from up there. But is there a tournament like legend from Wisconsin? Obviously, Tom Mansour comes to mind over on FLW, but with Bass – is there a Kevin Van Dam or a Mike Iaconelli or any of that of Wisconsin that I'm missing? Like, who's the GOAT of tournament fishing in Wisconsin? I would think you'd have to go Tom Mansour if you're encompassing all of tournament fishing. But with bass, and I know there's some Wisconsin anglers out there, who's the guy? Like the guy.
What a tough question. That is a really great
There's a lot of good fishing in Wisconsin. I don't know if you've ever driven through there, but there's like lakes and smallmouth and largemouth, and it's got like decent weather. I mean, there should be like a guy from Wisconsin that's just like 3 cheese sponsors, a draft beer sponsor, and he's made a career out of it with 20 wins.
There are some guides out of Wisconsin who have big reputations. But here's a weird stat for you. Only 4 guys from Wisconsin. I loved it when they were talking about, hey, he's the first Wisconsin angler ever to win an Elite Series. Well, okay. There haven't been many. There haven't been many guys from Wisconsin fishing the Elites. Exactly 4 anglers from Wisconsin have ever even qualified for the Bassmaster Classic. 4 in history.
Wow.
So no, I think everybody from Wisconsin who's really good with a rod and reel catches walleye.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Jim Johnson qualified for a couple of classics out of Wisconsin, and he's obviously a really talented angler. But yeah, it's not a place that has produced a lot of.
But there's a lot of guys on tour like Matt Stefan and stuff like that. Obviously, Tom Mansour. I mean, there's a lot of talented anglers in Wisconsin. But dude, for that fishery and the diversity of that state, I was racking my brain and I was trying to do some research while you were on, so I didn't look like an idiot to be like, "Oh, I can't believe." But man,
and I'd love to be able to tell you that.
Isn't that kind of surprising, Mark?
I never really thought about that because, quite honestly, I mean, Wisconsin, over the period of that I've been involved with bass fishing, I've really
got one. He's got
not
one.
been around.
He's got one. He's got it.
What is it, Ken?
Boyd Duckett was born in Oshkosh. I'm not making that up. Boyd Duckett is the legendary bass angler from Wisconsin.
Okay. He was born in Wisconsin, huh?
He was born in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I'm not making that up.
Oshkosh, by gosh.
And the legendary angler from the Washington State, Larry Nixon, born in Walla Walla. The legendary angler from Hawaii, Jay Yellis, born in Honolulu.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
was Chad Griffin born in Alaska?
I want to say, this is bad. I want to say he was born in Texas, but spent most of his life or a lot of his life in Alaska.
So there's no Alaska-born anglers who.
Not anybody who's like won a classic or an AOY or something like that. But yes, Matt, you are ridiculous because you failed to come up with Boyd Duckett.
That's what I said. So Caleb Kuphall, Caleb is slowly approaching Boyd Duckett as Wisconsin's most famous.
Well, I don't think he's there yet. I think he's got a ways to go. Let's let him win a few more derbies, a classic. Let's let him start a rival league,
a major, an open,
tackle,
an elite series. Duckett's got it all. He's got all the trophies.
Yeah, I think Boyd might be a little better known than Caleb, even if Caleb wins another elite in a couple of months.
Wow.
I think he's going back to back. How about that?
You think he's going to win on
number 26
on Champlain?
Yeah. Yeah, I like the dude, man. The dude, everything that I watched on Bassmaster Live I was thoroughly impressed, man. Very entertaining.
I thought he was great with you guys. I mean, he's really well spoken. He's obviously super bright, articulate. He communicates well. Yeah. Come on, sponsors, where are you?
Well, Ken, you bring up a good point. This would be a great model to follow from a business standpoint of the game to see how many sponsors that he currently has compared to what he's going to have during the 2022 season. He's got to win.
BCL should claim like 15%.
He's got to win, an Elite Series win, if he makes
Open
the Bassmaster Classic. He's got an open win.
Multiple classic appearances.
Yeah. Let's see how the business side jumps on somebody that has accomplished everything that he's done on the water, and he's got a pretty good game off the water too.
I think his game off the water looks really good. I mean, and he's here the same day he won the biggest tournament of his life. He's on.
That's awesome.
To be on BTL 365 24/7, which is the name of the show now, right?
Soon to be. No.
I mean, that's like
live on demand.
Yeah, you guys get Caleb on here right after he wins the Derby. And that's like getting Tom Brady on when the ball is still in the air. He's just released it. It's heading to Gronkowski, and you've got a microphone in his face.
Well, I'm telling you right now, folks, this does not happen if it wasn't for the staff at Bass and Emily, who is the media communications manager. I don't know what her official title is. I think that's it. But the communication and the teamwork that Emily and myself work to put these post-game shows together, hey, all the credit goes to her. She's the one that makes it happen. And I am so thankful and grateful for the opportunity to showcase these guys on the post-game show after Emily has done so much work in helping us out. So a big thanks goes out to Emily and Bruce Aiken for letting us do this, and all the people over there that really work very, very hard at these events to help out the extended media. So thanks to Bass, because this doesn't happen if we don't have their help.
And Emily is the communications manager at BASS, and they do a great job of getting the stories out and making the people available.
She answers a lot of dumb questions that I've had in the past, because she also is like the contact, like when you get high in the Bass Nation and make tournaments and coordinates and stuff. Like, she is on top of things. She knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Where would our sport be without stupid questions? I love stupid questions.
Oh, I got plenty of them, Ken. You're going to hear them, too.
Hey, Ken, I've made a career out of it.
Matt's getting ready to hit the road here in a week or two, so you're going to be pinch hitting for him, along with all the people that we had that submitted that I approved to be special guest hosts. So not this week, but the following week is when Matt's going to be gone, and that's when we're going to kick that off. But those guest host things, they're going to run throughout the remainder of the year. Cool stuff.
Well, very cool. Hey, Matt, I got to say, I've enjoyed filling in for you. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate Mark giving me a chance to do that. And I want to see big things. I'm only filling in because I'm expecting you to really tear through the rest of the Opens.
Oh, yeah, just tear right through it there, Ken.
Well, come on. I'm rooting for you, man. I'm rooting for you.
I appreciate it. No, you do an awesome job of pinch hitting. So, I mean, Mark's got a little bit of a team going with Uncle Frank and Ken Duke and about 7 other shows that are about to hit the airwaves in the next month.
That's why it's got to be called.
That's about 15, 20 hours of programming a week.
Hey, if you think about it, this even rhymes if we do it this way. Bass Talk Live, 24/7, 365. Because you're basically on 24/7 now.
Yeah. Hey, you're going to be a part of the marathon show, too. You know about the marathon show, don't you, Ken?
I want to do the marathon show. If you'll have me, I'll be on the marathon.
Definitely.
I'll carry you through those hours when nobody's necessarily up and watching.
Cool.
Let's just go eat through each one of those green books behind you there, Mr. Duke. 1979, most popular worm color, Junebug.
Wow.
No, those are all about largemouth bass that weighed 18 pounds or more.
Yeah.
That's what those books are, Matt.
Wow.
Yeah, that's good stuff. All right, Ken, we will be talking to you soon. I want to let everybody know this week, kind of funky, very good-looking lid there. Very nice.
Awesome. I love it.
Very nice. All right, this week, kind of special times because tonight, or actually today, Ken, was my first day back into the gym since my accident. So it felt great to get the team that we're going to have in 2021/2022. We've got our first team camp on Monday and Tuesday. So Matt will be joining me in studio a little bit later in the day on Monday and Tuesday. We're going at 4 p.m. Central Time on Monday and Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, no show because it's a little father-son time. We're going on a striper fishing trip on Lake Texoma Wednesday with my two boys. And then Thursday, we'll have Matt back on along with Frank Scalish on day 4. Have no idea what Frank's going to talk about, but just like always, it will be entertaining and educational. So that's kind of how the week's going to set up. And then I will be contacting some of the guest hosts that were awarded spots to guest host BTL next week, and we'll go from there. So, Ken, you'll be involved here in a week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever it is. Back on.
I'm looking forward to all the shows between then and me.
Yeah.
So I'll be watching.
All right, all good stuff. Tomorrow, 4 p.m. at 4:15, we're going to have the man that blasted him pretty good down on the Harris chain. We're going to have Brett Hyde on tomorrow. He's going to talk about his 100-pound performance on the Harris chain. He won, I don't know if it was Group A or Group B. I can't remember. Anyway, he's got an off day tomorrow, so we're going to have Brett Hyde on the show tomorrow. And then hopefully I'm working on, right now, tentatively, we are going to have the VP of Sales for White River Marine on Tuesday afternoon. So as far as I know, that schedule is still set for her to come on the show and talk a little bit about all the changes with pro staff and really kind of give a business side of the marine industry from a White River Marine standpoint. So looking forward to that.
I like it.
Yeah.
And let me know when you want to get that guy on who exploded the Carolina rig back in the 80s.
We need to do that very soon. Very soon. Somebody was going to order a shirt for Matt that had a picture of a rod and reel with a Carolina rig with a big red circle and a line through it. So I'm telling him, man, he's got to start throwing it. He didn't want to throw it, but he can just keep doing his little spinning rod and reel, wacky worm, Ned rig, drop shot, whatever, man. That's gonna get him hopefully at these next events, gonna get him some money.
They're starting to call me 12-pound panger around here, and I don't think it's a compliment.
Well, 12 pounds at Grand Lake in October might be good. 12 pounds a day. We'll see.
I'm starting to find out that it's not very good in March through June around the rest of the country, though.
It's a little bit of the struggle. All right, and then somebody asked the last thing. Matt and I will be doing the Classic Odds Show this year. That's coming up before the Bassmaster Classic. And then let me make sure I got the right date. June 7th. Let me go back to my notes here real quick. June 2nd, Hake Weldon is going to be on the show. We're going to talk college and high school bass fishing. And then the other day that I have booked already, I believe it is June 7th, Bruce Aiken, the general manager, vice president, the man president, the guy that runs everything at Bass, is going to make an appearance on BTL, and we'll get his take going into the Classic. So a lot of good stuff coming up on BTL, and I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your Sunday evening. Obviously, a big thanks to Caleb for taking time out after his victory at Lake Guntersville. Most impressive victory. And then we'll be back tomorrow afternoon. Matt, anything else?
That's all I got.
Ken, any final words?
Just thanks for having me.
The stat man, folks. He is the man. All right, that's going to wrap things up here on a Sunday night. Everybody have a great, great start to the week tomorrow. Matt and I coming at you 4 p.m. Central Time. Brett Hyde at 4:15 tomorrow. So everybody out there, be safe. That's it. We're out of here.